So hello class, this is a video that shows how to solve a simultaneous equation so using inverse method in Microsoft Excel. So in our inverse method, actually we can convert our simultaneous equation in this form of equation. So this is the form of equation. And then if we want to do inverse method to get the value of our x here is that we have to transpose x on the other side by dividing it with a. So therefore it will become a raised to negative 1b. So therefore, using this equation, we can do this the equation of inverse method in solving simultaneous linear equation. So therefore, in this method, so we have to create the two equation. One, our a, that is the coefficient of all the variables x, y, and z in this example. And our b naman, those are the variables of are the constants in our equation, the variable b. So therefore, what we have to do here is that we have to multiply the inverse of our equation or our the coefficients of our x, y, and z to the value of b or to the constant in our equation. So to do this method, so your equation should be in this form. So we're in on the left side of our equation, those are those with the coefficients. On the other side of our equation, those are the constants of our equation. So therefore, so in this method, again, we have to create two matrix. So therefore, I have to create matrix A. So therefore, the coefficients of our matrix A will be the coefficients of all the variables in our equation or the coefficients of all those with variable in our equation. So please take note that you have to arrange the matrix accordingly. So therefore, one column should be in terms of a first variable, second column should be in terms of second variable, and so on. So if some elements are zero or there is no coefficient for those elements, for example, there is no 2x in equation 1, so you have to only write that with 0. So if you want to use inverse method. So therefore, let us do that. So we have now 1, and we have negative 3, and then we have 2, and then we have 2 on the second, that 1 and negative 4. And lastly, for our third, so we have 3, and then we have negative 2 and 1. And next is that we have to create equation matrix B, where in our matrix B are the equations or the element of all the constants. So therefore, that is 11, and then we have negative 9, and then we have 11. So those are the elements. And then after that, so we have to get the inverse of A. So therefore, A inverse, so therefore, that is A raised to negative 1. So that is A raised to negative 1. So what is A inverse? So that is to get A inverse. So since this is a square matrix, so therefore what you have to do is that you have to uh, create a 3 by 3 matrix in your Microsoft Excel. So if it is 4, so you have to create a 4 by 4 matrix in your Microsoft Excel. So this highlighting of cell, it depends on how many equations or how many elements are there in your cell. So please take note, the inverse method is only applicable for matrices that have the same number of columns and rows. So therefore, it is only applicable for a square matrix. So therefore, if it is not as if it is not a square matrix, so therefore you cannot do you cannot choose the inverse method. So therefore, since it is a square matrix, so therefore, so we can do inverse. So therefore, the command that you have to write. So please take note that you have to highlight the correct number of element. So so therefore, after that, so you have to write minus sign and then type m, then inverse, and then open parenthesis. So therefore, you have to click all the elements that you want to get the inverse. So therefore, that is element A. So therefore, you have to click and drag all of those element, and then you have to control, shift, and enter at the same time. So therefore, this is now the inverse of our matrix. So if you did not drag drag the 3 by 3 matrix, for example, if you only click one element, so therefore if you type in inverse here or matrix inverse in your Microsoft Excel, so what will happen is that only one element will be inverse. So it is only this element, not the whole. So therefore, if you want to get the inverse individually, it's okay. But if you want to do um, faster, so you have to drag all the elements that you want to get inverse. And then don't forget to press Control plus Shift and Enter after that. So that is Control and then plus Shift, Control plus Shift, and then plus Enter. So that is the command so that we can get the inverse. And lastly is that we have to get the value of our x. So therefore, that is the value of now of our x, y, and z. So therefore, so same with what you have done in inverse. So therefore, you have to drag or you have to click a matrix. So therefore, since you are multiplying a 3 by 3 to a 3 by 1 matrix, so therefore the answer will be a 3 by 1 matrix using a multiplication rule in our matrices. So therefore, we have to create a 3 by 1 matrix. So we have 3 row and 1 column matrix. And then you have to write now mmult. So that is matrix multiplication command in Microsoft Excel. And then you have to click the array or the elements that or the matrix that you want to multiply. So this is the A inverse, then comma, our B. And after that, you have to press again Control plus Shift and then Enter. And this is now the value of x, y, and z. So therefore, applying this, so our x now is equivalent to 2. Our y is equivalent to -1. And our z, ay, wait, what happened? And our z is actually equivalent to 3. And that's it. So again, here, if you did not click or drag the correct number of row or column, for example, you only drag 2 column here and type the mmult or the matrix multiplication formula. So therefore, it will only show the up to 2 elements and you do Control Shift. So, and actually, I don't know if you can click and drag here. So you can click and drag, because the number of matrix now is also differ. So therefore, according to in our Microsoft Excel, so when you do calculations and you drag, so therefore the element in your equation also moves. So therefore, it is not applicable to use the click and drag. So therefore, you have to drag all the element that you want to get you want to get the product, or using the matrix, the mmult. So therefore, you have to click and drag all the elements or the required number of elements for your solution. And that's it for the inverse method of solving simultaneous linear equation in Microsoft Excel.